Anytime you're playing golf, you always have a water bottle laying around somewhere. It can really help you with your swing. I'm going to show you 4 drills that can help you to get your weight shift correct, making that divot in front of the golf ball. If you're thinning or topping your 3-wood, it's going to be perfect for that. I'm going to talk about how to get rid of that chicken wing where the left arm folds up as you're coming through the shot. I'm even going to get rid of the shanks. So let's go ahead and jump into it here. Let's start off with the most frustrating shot in golf, which will be a shank. And all you're going to do is when I hit this golf ball, if I was going to shank it, all that means is the hosel of my club is hitting the golf ball. Well, if I put a water bottle in the way to where I would actually whack into the water bottle if I did that, then I'm going to naturally miss the water bottle. Now, you'd be amazed, just having an object there in the way, your brain will naturally stop shanking it. It's kind of amazing how it works. I do recommend take the water out of the water bottle at first. If you, first couple swings until you get used to it, if you just so happen to nick it, you don't want it to explode and get water all over you and look like a crazy person on the driving range. You also, if you did happen to hit it when it's full of water like this, it could hurt you by twisting your club a little bit, could hurt your wrist, that kind of thing. So empty the water bottle before you do this one. And the way I like to set this one up is I'll put the toe of the club against the water bottle, and the ball should basically be in line where I could barely not shank it, even if I nicked the water bottle. So if I go ahead and set it up like I was going to hit the sweet spot of the club, I've got about 3/4 of an inch or so between the toe of the club and the water bottle. Now from there, what I found the most common, I wouldn't say the most common, almost every time someone's shanking it, they're standing up out of their posture, it moves their hands closer to the golf ball, and then it kind of shoves the club out this way. A great little cheat for this. You've probably heard to keep your weight back. You've probably heard to stay farther away from the golf ball. If that was going to work, you'd probably already be doing it, right? Well, when I stand up out of my posture, my club shaft raises up and gets more vertical. If I can keep my club flatter to the ground, I'm naturally going to get a little farther away from the golf ball. So if I'm really close to the golf ball and I'm crowding it and that's making me shank it, well, when I try to think about getting the hands lower, it's like, well, my legs are in the way. So I naturally scoot back. You've been told to get your weight back on your heels. Well, when I try to get my club shaft a little lower, now all of a sudden my weight naturally goes back on my heels. So it accomplishes a lot of things with one simple feeling. Just feel like the club shaft is lower as you're hitting this golf ball. All right, so let's go ahead and give it a whirl. Hopefully I don't explode this water bottle here. There we go, hit that one really nice. Not going to do a whole lot better than that. That's a great one. If nothing else, this drill's worth the price of admission, or this video is worth the price of admission just for that one, because if you're shanking, it is not fun, I'll tell you that. Now, number 2 is weight shift. Like I said, when you're hitting that 3-wood, most common mistake with 3-wood I see is weight falls on the back foot, maybe trying to hit it harder, maybe trying to get the ball a little higher in the air. You'll notice that the lower leg will be almost vertical when I'm doing that. So my lower leg will be up and down. And then as I rotate through there, I kind of spin out on my back foot. Well, if I put a water bottle just outside my right foot, what I want to feel here, if I do this correctly, instead of my lower leg being up and down this way, weight on my right side, divot back here, chunking and thinning the golf ball, I want to have this right knee as before I start my downswing, kick forward a little bit. So my knee goes toward the target. My lower leg gets angled in now, and that gets my weight on my left side. So it looks a little something like this. If I was going to hit this golf ball, this is my transition move. The legs, the lower body start to go before my club really makes the downswing. Now that shifts my weight to the left, and when I rotate through, I'm going to miss the water bottle with my right heel as I swing through the shot. So let me go ahead and set this up. I want about 3/4 of an inch between my ankle and the water bottle. Let's give it a whirl. There you go, nice little draw again, hitting these pretty good. So 6-iron here, right at about 200 carry, and have a nice little tight draw on both those. Pretty happy with that. Now another variation of this that is just a new way to feel it. Sometimes you can't, because you're not hitting the water bottle, you can't tell if you're doing it right. Just simply take the water bottle, put it on the inside of the right foot, again, 3/4 of an inch away from the leg. And then as I rotate through this shot and hit it, you're going to see that I knock the water bottle over. There we go. So you see it knocked over on the ground. Now, the next one, you probably have never heard this before. It's actually kind of counterintuitive. When I hit a golf shot, so when I studied hundreds of PGA Tour players, I gave tons and tons and tons of online lessons over a period of 5 or 10 years. And every time I did a lesson, I always pulled up a PGA Tour player. And I didn't like doing the same one every single time. I like to study different swings. So I had this database of literally hundreds of swings. And every time I did a swing review, I did an online lesson, I'd pull up a different player. I'd show what the tour player was doing. I'd show what they're working on, and I'd give a drill. What I noticed is with the left foot, pretty much every single PGA Tour player, unless somebody was like freakishly flexible, maybe 1 or 2 out of 100, every one of them got their foot to open up, and it would actually rotate. So if this is toward the target, my toe is toward you, the camera, or perpendicular to the target. As they came through the shot, that toe would rotate open, and that really allowed them to open up the hip and then rotate through the shot. Now, if you keep your foot forward, especially if you're not freakishly flexible, what will happen is you'll stop rotating your body. This is what you see pretty much across the country. If you go anywhere and find the players that are struggling the most at any club, they're going to lock their lower body, they're going to take over with the arms, and you're going to see this chicken wing. So kind of stay down in here, and a chicken wing and fold up. What tour players are doing is they rotate through it. This toe opens up toward the target, and if I was to put a water bottle just outside my toe, well, I would knock it over, which is counterintuitive because you're always thinking, you've probably been told, you know, the less moving parts you have in your swing, the less moving parts you have, the easier it'll be. Not the case. If you want to play good golf, you've got to get your lower body clearing out of the way. You've got to get this left foot to open up. So when I hit this shot, especially if I'm hitting fuller shots, if I'm hitting driver, if I'm hitting longer irons, or really just any full swing, when I rotate through the shot, it's going to knock this water bottle over. And I at least bumped into it. This is one that if you're on a mat like this, I probably nudged it out a little bit. You might want to go ahead and put it right against the foot there. So I also have it full of a lot of water, so you may want to lower it down a little bit so it's not quite as sturdy so you don't just bump it over. An empty water bottle would definitely do it. I'm not going to take the time to pour out the water to show you here, but I will hit another one. And just pay attention to my left toe. Look how it's facing this way at address, and when I finish, it's much more open to the target. Or, this is another great one if you don't want to do the water bottle, you don't want the foot to rotate open. You say, man, I would really like to just have less things to worry about. Go ahead and take your foot and open it up 30 or 40 degrees. Up until the 90s, everybody did this. That became kind of out of fashion, and that forced people to rotate their foot open and knock over this water bottle, but I'm totally fine if you want to set up with the foot open, and then you don't have to worry about the water bottle, it's already open there. If you are going to set up square, you better be swinging in a way to where at least you're bumping into this water bottle in your follow-through, or you're really just not going to keep the hips moving, and you're going to struggle to hit your solid shots. Got it on that one? And you can see how that foot rotates open a little bit. That one, you just have to nudge it a little bit. I don't want you to like cranking this water bottle open. It's just enough to let you know there's a misconception that the feet need to be still. The feet don't need to be still. Look at the greatest ball striker on tour right now, Scotty Scheffler. I wouldn't recommend that footwork necessarily, but it shows you that moving feet, hey, he's hit it the best anybody's ever hit it in the last 10 years as far as strokes gained, and his feet are anything but still. So there's one more thing that I want you to do that's really important here. You see, even if I get my weight shift correct, even if I get my hips rotating open, even if I get rid of the shanks, if I'm coming down steep and I feel like I start my swing in a certain way, almost like ringing a bell, this steep club shaft is going to give me a whole world of trouble. So even if I do all the drills right here, I'm going to be inconsistent because this steep club shaft has to be rerouted. One shot's going to go to the right, the next one's going to go to the left. I feel like I'm constantly trying to find what straight is. I'm going to play a bonus video that goes over how you can get rid of that feeling and shallow the club out so it's on plane, swinging from the inside, so then everything just is a whole heck of a lot easier. I'll play a preview of that here in a second. All you need to do to watch the full video is go ahead and click on the card that pops up on your screen. If you don't see that card, don't worry. Just go down to the description below. There'll be a link there. You can click that link and get instant access to the video there also. Best of luck. Let's go ahead and get started. Now the bottom line is that if you pull this club down to ring that bell or pull the hands more from the inside, what's going to happen is you start to rush your downswing from that pulling, and that can throw off your sequence. And we all know that once your sequence gets off, that is going to be the root cause of all your problems. Now, maybe you're being outdriven way too often, or you're terribly inconsistent with your strikes. Some of your shots are heavy, some of them are thin, some of them are off the toe, and then the next ones are way off the heel. Now you end up way over in the trees, you're in the tall grass, or maybe even the hazards all day long, and it really comes down to this. Clay, how in the heck do we fix it? Well, there's some good news. Well, there's only two things that you need to learn. First, you need to learn to shallow the club rather than pulling the hands down and getting the shaft in this steep position. You see, there's another way that the pros do this, and once you start to get that club on this shallower plane, more from the inside, then you pair that up with the right way to square the club face. And once you put these two things together, everything starts to fit in your swing. Now your buddies will start to get a little bit jealous because you'll start hitting solid, longer drives, time after time, and round after round. Now I'm going to teach you this right now on what I call the E-slot technique. Let's walk through exactly how to do it. So here's what I want you to do. Go ahead and take a swing to the top and get in a really good position. I want you to feel like your weight is mostly shifted to your right side and that your hips and shoulders are nice and free. I don't want to be locked up here. I want my knees to move, my hips to move. And that's going to allow me to swing my shoulders very nicely. Now, one thing that most people get wrong when they swing to the top is they don't get this tilt away from the target. So instead of being straight up and down or leaning to the left, I want to be slightly tilted away in what I call the stable fluid spine in my top speed golf system. Okay, so now that you're at this great position at the top of the swing, what I want you to do is instead of pulling those arms straight down or ringing the bell, that's going to get the club shaft steep and get this elbow kind of flapping behind your body. I want you to do something very specific. I want you to take the tip of your elbow and move it in a specific way. Now, not this small bone on the inside of your elbow, but I want it to be right here at the tip, and here's what I want you to do.